Since 2007, one man has dared to expose the sinister power players on all sides of the phony political spectrum. Armed with over 30 years of research knowledge of the paranormal, government conspiracies, geopolitics, secret and ancient societies, the esoteric arts, and much more. One man's quest for knowledge has become a mission for the enlightenment of all people. Broadcasting from the conspiracy ground zero of Dallas, Texas, this is The Global Reality with your host, Josh Reeves. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is Monday, December 2nd, 2019. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. I'm here with you for another show. Not a whole lot of news and information to cover today. There's wasn't a lot of stuff today. Very slow news day, and so there's not a lot to get into, but I'll get into what I got with you here tonight on the show. I do have some stuff left from yesterday and a few things from today, so I'll get into all that and give you as much as I possibly can for you here tonight for the duration of the broadcast. So thank you for being with me. Thank you for joining me. Straight out of the gates, we are in a serious situation here, guys. We have not even gotten fucking close to reaching our goal yet, and we're in a fucking bad situation. This shit was due today. I was able to get it fucking pushed until tomorrow, but past that, I've got no more time. And this is really serious because we've gotten extensions for the past several months, and we just have no time left here. And we're currently way far off from our goal, way far off. But not all is lost if everybody steps the fuck up right now and pitches in any amount they can. We've got the minimum, well, right now, we're at $1,100 for the month total for our total goal. Our total goal of the month is $2,600. We need a minimum of $1,100 in here by tomorrow, or we're done. All that takes is 11 of you out there listening and thousands of you that are listening to pitch in $100 each. That's all we need. That's all we need. I'm not going to go through all the combinations, you know that. But it's time for everybody to step up. The needle didn't move much since yesterday, and now we're fucked. We're seriously fucked here. And again, people can continue to listen. People continue to tune in. They continue to leave comments. They continue to ask me questions. I continue to have to field hundreds of emails every day. You know, I work nonstop at this. And everybody else is not pulling their weight and chipping in with this, and it's it's a situation. I don't know what else to say that I haven't already said a million fucking times. I'm sick of saying it. I don't know what else to say other than it's everybody that can contribute needs to do it right now, or I'm fucking done. I'm going to be out of my ass. I have no recourse here. And all I'm asking is that everybody, it's not hard. It's not hard. I could have fucking sold out and been a shill many years ago, and I didn't. I chose the path of truth, and I chose the path of doing the right thing. And so many of you out there, you're just selfish. You want the info, but you don't want to have to give up or sacrifice anything. You want everybody else to sacrifice so you can just take. And we can't have that, folks. I do right by everybody, man. I respond to everybody's emails. I respond to everybody's questions. I work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at this. And all we're asking for is reciprocation and to be able to continue. You know, I don't have fucking a mountain of debt and a fucking, you know, car payment and all this other bullshit. I stripped everything down to the bare minimum just to do this many years ago. I don't have anything. I'm not asking anybody to fucking, I don't have credit card bills. I don't have car payments. I don't have kids. You know, all we need is every month is just the minimum it takes to keep the lights on, keep the studio open, and keep going. That's it. That's all we need. We need 11 people in the next 14 hours that can come in at $100 each, or one person can come in at $1,100, or one person that can come in at $800, and then, you know, there were 3 people coming in at $100 each, whatever combinations. Everybody has got to step up right now. I know you've been procrastinating. I know you've been putting it off. I know you've been waiting to see if anybody else would contribute. So you didn't have to. I get all that. I understand. I get where you're coming from. But honestly, I'm not even worried about all the people who aren't going to support me and don't care anyway. Those people are dead. I'm just looking for the people out there that are truly standing with me and do truly stand with me. I know you're out there. I talk to you, and you guys are frankly the reason I still do this, because there's a lot of you out there. But at the same time, a lot of you out there that are like that haven't pitched in yet. So I'm just asking those of you who haven't pitched in yet and contributed to do so right now, because we don't have any time left. You know, ignoring this and hoping it's going to go away is not going to happen. That's what everybody seems to do. You know, when it comes down to the fundraising time of the month, everybody disappears, scurries away, hides. And then when they think the coast is clear, they come back out and then they start commenting again. I see it. I see the same patterns all the time. And people think I don't notice that. You know, you demand my attention. You demand my individual attention to talk to you and answer your questions. And, you know, and then you don't want to reciprocate that. And that's all we're looking for is reciprocation. I don't mind doing any of it. I don't mind answering questions. I don't mind doing any of that stuff, but you got to reciprocate it. And I've worked, been in this game longer than anybody. You know, or as long, I mean, there's been so many people that have come and gone since I've been here. In fact, it's 10 years this month since I started my own platform. You know, I get every once in a while I get these things I have to answer these questions every 6 or 7 months. So let me answer this one again, because I got this one again recently. I don't do what I do for children. Okay. Don't ask me not to cuss. Don't ask me to do clean versions of audiobooks. Don't ask me to do any of that shit, because I don't do it for fucking kids. It's not for children. This is not child's play. This is not fucking kids' game. Kids ought to be allowed to be fucking kids. I get so tired of that shit. I'm sick to death of having to answer that question. In the first 2 years, and let me tell you something. The other argument, if you did your stuff clean, then you'd get money. Bullshit. You know how I know it's bullshit? Because I did that for the first 2 years I did this show, from 2007 to 2009. And in fact, the show took off and gained a much greater following after I started my own platform, which happened 10 years ago this month in December, is when I started the Global Reality Radio Network, which is my platform to do my show on. First 2 years I did this show, I had to keep it clean. I had to deal with sponsors, and it got me exactly fucking nowhere. Sponsors telling me what I couldn't talk about, all the rest of that stuff. I don't do what I do for kids. And I get people saying, "Oh, well, I want my kids to hear this info, but I can't even let them hear it because you cuss all the time." That's not my problem, man. That's not I have never, ever, and never, nor will I ever intend what I do to be for children. Because I think kids should be allowed to be kids. You know, I got into researching this stuff literally in 1985, when I was 9 years old, I started researching UFOs and the Bermuda Triangle and all that stuff. And let me tell you something. This ain't no lie either. I was cussing like a sailor even then. Even then. No, I didn't do it around adults. Go watch all those 80s movies, man. That's one thing I hate. Listen, I hated the 80s. I'll be honest with you. I was a kid in the 80s. I hated the 80s. A lot of people have so much nostalgia now for the 80s. I fucking hated the 80s. The 80s were shit. The music sucked fucking dick. I hate 80s music. 80s music. I didn't even know. I thought for long, I'm not kidding you, this is not a joke. I thought music sucked. I didn't even like music. I didn't think even music was any good for a long time when I was a kid because all I heard was that the 80s music. It wasn't until I saw Queen at Live Aid when it happened that I was like, oh shit, music can be like this? Okay. I'll tell you what did rule though in the 80s, the fucking movies. 80s movies are the shit. Now that's the only good thing about the 80s to me was the fucking movies, some great fucking movies from the 80s. But go back and watch those movies from the 80s. You'll find one thing across all those, all the kids in those movies were all cussing like sailors. Remember that? They all were. That's one thing I think is missing now. You don't have movies like that where kids cuss like sailors. All the kids when I was a kid, man, everybody had a little mouse on them, but not around the adults. And that's the same thing like if I go on a big radio show or something. Go listen to any of the interviews I've done on big radio shows. You won't hear me cuss once. People think I'm like some kind of out of control fucking monster that can't speak without cussing. No, I just won't. I refuse to do anything that's not me. And I'm not going to get up here. I refuse to do anything where I have to be a fake version of myself. I'm not going to do it. I did it. It didn't work. It didn't work. Did not work at all. But, you know, it is, what's interesting to me, though, is that I don't know. I just get so frustrated. Because I know when people say, because the most recent one I got, listen, this is not the first. I get 5 or 6 of these a year. I want my kids to hear this info. Look, let your kid be a fucking kid, okay? Let them be a kid. Let them enjoy it, because if you don't, it doesn't matter how much info you try to give them. They're going to resent you for it when they get older, because they're going to realize they didn't have a childhood because you were too busy pumping shit down their throat. Nobody ever pumped this stuff down my throat. I found it all strictly on my own, and it was all strictly my own journey. I think that's how it should be. You know, let your kids be kids, and when they grow up and realize that they've been lied to their entire lives, then you can get them into it. I mean, I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm just saying that's how my standing point is. Do what you want to do. You want to get your kid, but don't ask me to change, and don't ask me to do something different with what I do. You're one person. You're one individual asking for that. And don't ask me to change what I do just because. But that, again, that's another indicator that, I mean, listen, this is not ego or anything else, but it speaks for itself. My info and what I've put out speaks for itself. Because if there was anybody better, they wouldn't be asking me to change what I do. Somebody asked me to do an edited clean version for them of the Lost Book of Inky. You know how long that would take? That was like 3 months of reading that book on air. And somehow you think it would be better to make a clean version just so your 12-year-old kid can hear it? You know, if you really wanted to be a good parent, then you could say, hey, look, you know, if you think your kids are mature enough to handle the info, then you should also believe that they're mature enough to hear the things I'm saying, unedited. And you can explain to them, hey, listen, these are bad words. You don't repeat this. You don't say this. These are adult words. But instead of doing that and taking on the responsibility of being a parent, you're asking me to change what I do or what I've already done. It's ridiculous. I'm not going to fucking do it. I'm not going to stop cussing. I'm not going to do edit versions of shit I did 10 years ago. That's another thing. People forget how long, just because you're new, they think because they're new to this information, they only got into it in the past couple of years, that means I only got into it in the past couple of years. No, man, I've been doing this my whole life. And people send me emails. Hey, can you send me a link to that video you talked about when you did the Emerald Tablets of Thoth reading? Like, you realize I did that fucking 10 years ago, right? Oh, no, I didn't know that. Yeah. You know what shit's been deleted off of YouTube since then? But I still get emails all the time. Oh, hey, can you send me a link to that thing you talked about 10 years? They don't even know. Like, dude, I've been doing this for 12. This is my 12th year on air, going on 13. That's just on air. That's not counting all the years I was researching and in the streets and doing activism and stuff for years even before that. 12 years on air is just how long I've been doing this show. Podcasting wasn't even a known thing yet when I started this. I started this on Shoutcast streams, internet radio streams. And I've given up, I've said, you have no idea. I know there probably isn't even 1% of the people out there that listen to my show that would sacrifice and give up what I've sacrificed to do this. Not at all. But then again, that's that's one of the things. That's one of the things that worries me so much. With humanity and society itself. You are not going to ever get the truth and know the full truth and know everything you want to know and understand it all and work it into your life, while at the same time being able to live the same normal, everyday, everybody slave existence that everybody else does. It doesn't go hand in hand. It does not. But that's what so many people think that they're going to get. They think they can have their cake and eat it too, and you can't. At some point, you've got to decide which one you want, because you can't have both. And if you think you can have your cake and eat it too, you're deluding yourself. You can't do it. It's impossible. You can't have the regular, wife, kids, husband, whatever, regular, everyday Ozzie and Harriet life and walk the path of truth at the same time. At some point, you can fool yourself, and you probably can fool yourself for a long time, but at some point, you're going to have to choose one or the other. And most people are not going to choose the path of truth. They're going to choose the safe route, or what they perceive to be the safe route, which is the normal, regular, everyday, go along to get along existence. And I'm not somebody who ever chose to do that. I'm not ever going to do that. So this thing about, the self-censoring bullshit, I'm not going to do it. I'm never going to do it. People, your brain isn't fully developed till you're like something like 22 or 24 or something like that. Early to it. Your brain is not even developed yet. Give these kids a chance to have their brains developed before you start hitting them with all this stuff. You on one level want to shelter your kids, yet on the other level you want to start pumping their brains with this type of information? That makes no sense. You either got to go all the way and let them hear everything unwatered down, uncensored, or you need to not give them anything at all. But it's typical. And listen, I'm not calling out anybody individually here, but I got to say, it's for the majority of this, the majority of people that do this are not men. The majority of people that do this are women. And I'm not coming down on women, but I'm just telling you that's it is. Because in all elements of life, I don't know what it is about women. Women always believe they can have their cake and eat it too. They always think they can, and they can't. They always think they can, and it blows up in their face. But you can never make them understand they can't. Women, I don't know what it is. All women are like that. They all think they can have their cake and eat it too. And I've made it my mission in life to be sure and remind them every chance I get that they can't. But that's what this whole situation is, with trying to get me to censor myself, trying to get me to not be who I am, trying to tell me that there's some sort of advantage for me to do it. There's no advantage. Again, you don't have any idea how long I've been around, how long I've been doing this. I did that for the first 2 years. It got me exactly nowhere. It made me miserable. And I swore 10 years ago when I quit being on, because I was on 5 or 6 different networks before I was even out on my own. Most people don't even know that. And I swore I would never go back to that ever again, and I haven't. I never will. Well, I can't say I never will. If somebody wanted to put me on wanted to give me a syndicated radio show and pay me a bunch of money, yeah, I'd do it. Yeah, fuck yeah. But I would probably still do my own show on the side where I could do whatever I wanted to do. But, this stuff, and I get the same thing with people who want me to promote their projects. They want me to promote their stuff. But they're not, and which I don't have a problem with, but you got to reciprocate it. What's the word everybody's using now? Quid pro quo? Yeah, got to have a little quid pro quo going on. You do for me, I'll do for you. But they never want to do that. And I get people all the time who send me stuff or listen, if you leave links to trying to promote somebody else's shit and trying to use my audience and my listeners and my platform to promote somebody else's shit, you're going to get your comment deleted. That's all there is to it. Because I've never, and nor will I ever do that. You think that I've never done that. I have never once gone to somebody else's channel and left comments on a YouTube video saying, oh, yeah, here, listen to this, listen to what I do. And people do that to me all the fucking time. They'll send me an email and they'll preface it by saying, oh, I can't contribute anything to your work, and I can't buy your movies, and I can't do this, and I can't do that, but I need you to talk about this on your show and put some light on it. Fuck out of here. Fuck out of here with that shit, man. You preface it with, well, like I'm not, fuck out of here with this shit. It's fucking ridiculous, man. It's just, I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to say about it. But listen, here's the other thing about asking me to censor myself or I want my kids to hear it. Well, you know what that tells me when I hear that from people? You know what it tells me straight out of the gates? Especially when it comes to stuff like I've done with like the ancient archaeology and all that stuff, like a particular person recently asked me about. Let me tell you this. It tells me right out of the gates, number one, you've never watched my movies. You've never bothered to spend $10 or $14 or whatever to even buy my movies and watch those. And how do I know that? How do I know you haven't? Because if you did, you know that for the most part, now there is some stuff, but nothing really technically really bad in any of but my movies for the most part are 100% clean. In fact, The Lost Secrets of Ancient America has been shown, this is no joke, it's been shown in classrooms here in Texas by multiple teachers. It's been in schools. That movie's almost 4 hours long. It boggles my mind. Have them, you want to get them onto some info and you want it to be clean or whatever. Well, then if you would actually took the time to watch my movies, you would know you could have them watch that. But you didn't know that because you didn't bother watching the movies because you didn't get that for free like you did when you got the Lost Book of Inky reading that I didn't upload to YouTube. Somebody else uploaded to their channel, which got hundreds of thousands of views. It's crazy. That's the other thing. Anytime my shit in the past got uploaded to other people's channels, This is how I know that they've been, restricting my channel for many years, is my shit's got more views on other people's channels than it's ever got on my own channel. That's specifically the most recent person. Listen, the person who you are, please don't take this the wrong way. I'm not coming down. I'm not mad at you. I'm just being real, like I always am, 100% shooting it to you straight. But I got to admit, when I read that person's message, it did piss me off because they specifically referenced the Lost Book of Ink. And I went, oh, okay, see, that tells you all I need to know. You heard that for free. You certainly didn't buy it out of my audiobook download store. This is what I'm talking about, guys. This is the whole point. You criticize me for telling you to donate to my work, but then you don't want to support it at all, and you won't even buy the documentaries. It's not free to make the movies. It's, electricity isn't free. Internet isn't free. And this hasn't been a problem up until very recently. I've been here for 12 years and everything has worked great and everybody's been contributing so far. What it is now that we've had all these other disinfo agents come out and we've had all this stuff change over the past 3 or 4 years. And you've got people that are funded by the CIA and funded by all these other things. They put out their bullshit that's the thing. People put out bullshit disinfo. They put it out for free because they're getting all kinds of backing and funding from the CIA and the spook intelligence agencies and the MI6 and everything else. And then when somebody comes along who's actually putting out real information, they get lumped in, like me, get lumped in with these other people. And then they say, well, why don't you put your stuff out for free? Well, because I don't put out bullshit and I'm not funded by the CIA. That's why. But people can't tell the difference because it all gets mushed together. Nobody works harder at this than me. I'm telling you right now, nobody's worked harder and longer at this than me. I put in more hours, more years than anybody else out there. And I have a discernment and I have an ability to be able to find these things that nobody else has. I have tools and I show it, and I show it constantly in the shows, in the films, and everything else. Yet you got people like Alex Jones that are multimillionaires. Listen, if somebody's a millionaire and they're claiming to telling you the truth, you can automatically discredit that person immediately. Because being a multimillionaire and being a truth teller do not go hand in hand. You only get multi-millions if you're paid to lie and be a shill like Alex Jones and Joe Rogan and all these other people out there. That sell these they sell these phony supplements and all this bullshit. You should look into, especially Joe Rogan should look into that. All that, listen, if you buy that On It bullshit that he got, it's like, it's a pyramid scheme. He's gotten all these other podcasters, comedians that he all helped get shows. And I like a lot of them, like Joey Diaz and they all sell On It, and it's a fucking pyramid scheme. And not only that, I hadn't blown this open yet. This will probably get me killed talking about this. I believe, based on my research, that the people that run that On It, Aubrey something down there in Austin, I wouldn't doubt if Alex Jones has got something to do with that too. I believe it's a front for they have these labs where they make, alpha brain and all this bullshit. Do a little research into that stuff. It's very interesting. You can look online and find all this information I'm talking about. It's all out there. But I think it's a front. I think it's a front for making illegal drugs like DMT and LSD and stuff. And I know I think this because of the stuff I've heard said on Joe Rogan's show many times. He's always talking about having DMT and having LSD like right in the studio. Joe, how can they get away with that? Joey Diaz has done it too. Oh, I got a big thing of acid right here, and they're doing acid on podcasts and stuff. How can they get away with that? And they were talking about those DMT vape pens, but yet we're not going to say where we got them from. The biggest when I really got tipped off of this was when I think he's interviewed him a couple of times. I think it was the most recent time he interviewed. Joe Rogan interviewed the UFC fighter Donald Cowboy Cerrone, and he kind of let a little too much out of the bag because he was talking about hanging down in Austin with On It with the Aubrey guy, and he brings out this DMT, and anybody always talks about the DMT and stuff, it all seems to point back to this Aubrey guy. And I started doing some research into him. Very shady character. And they create all this, Alpha Brain and Shroom Tech and all these that are they're just snake oil. Everybody who's ever had one of these platforms, I remember they used to have the Power Hour on GCN. They had the same thing. That's how they made millions of dollars selling phony supplements. Jones does the same thing. It's how these guys make millions of dollars. They sell bullshit and they sell fear at the same time. And it's crazy because when Joe Rogan first started, his first sponsor was Fleshlight. And the Fleshlight, the fucking plastic dicks, the jerk off sleeves, pocket pussies, essentially is what they were. It's crazy when you look into it and you find out that it's the same family that created the pocket pussies created the they weren't called pocket pussies, but they were called Fleshlights. That is the same family that started On It. And it's crazy when you look into it. You can tell it's a total CIA shill front company. I think that it appears to me that they're using this, their laboratories that they make all their supplements and stuff in as a front to make DMT and hallucinogens and everything else. And that's really how they're making their money. Because all these guys that associate with Joe, all these they always talk about what hallucinogens they get, and they always seem to have a never-ending supply of them. And that stuff's not that easy to get. But like Ari Shaffir, he's always talking about having DMT and having acid and MDMA, and all these guys. And they all have one thing in common, Joe Rogan, and they also have another thing in common. They all tend to have On It as their sponsor for the shows. And, these guys, and they sell these fucking fake dick pills, and Jones selling his weight gain 5,000 or whatever that bullshit is. It's all snake oil. And it's all fronts. I mean, these guys, they're absolute fucking liars and criminals. And people just suck it up and drink the Kool-Aid. And then when I don't do that, when I choose to have morals and not sell snake oil and dick pills and Jew gold and water filters and all that other horse shit, and then jump on whatever the newest Russian conspiracy is to try and sell you my fucking products or storable food or bug out bunker bullshit. I don't do any of that. I choose not to do that. And then I ask you just to contribute, just to donate so we can survive month to month and do this. And then I get criticized. I mean, I'm really starting to think I should go into the snake oil business. I really think I'm thinking about it. Fuck it. Why not? Everybody else is doing it. I might as well do it too. I made a conscious effort that I was never going to use this information to spread fear, to try to use that fear to sell products. And guys, but in case you hadn't checked, in case you're oblivious to it, that's the model of a successful radio show or podcast or whatever. Go look at it. It's the ones that are spreading fear and are trying to sell you snake oil and junk are the ones who have what I call a perceived level, because a lot of it's fake. I remember catching Jones back in 2008, 2009 using botnet computers out of Russia to pump up the Shoutcast numbers. Caught red-handed. We traced the IPs right back to Russia. This was 10, 11 years ago, guys. What the fuck do you think they're doing now? I mean, it is true what they say, nice guys finish last. It is. Because I've tried to do everything in my power to be a nice guy and to do things straight and do it legit and do it differently and not be a fearmonger, not sell fucking shill bullshit and snake oil and everything else. And I'll tell you right now, it's gotten me nowhere. It's gotten me nowhere. if I would have taken the other path and just gone along and been a shill and jumped all over everybody's bullshit conspiracies and everything else, I'd probably be on TV 24/7 like David Wilcock and all these other cocksuckers that go on fucking Ancient Aliens. You know, I remember before Ancient Aliens even came out, before it was even a thing, and I was talking about those subjects, I got laughed off of radio shows. I'll never forget, even when I first saw the first fucking episode of Ancient Aliens, I was like, wait a second, this doesn't make any sense. I was getting called every name in the book a couple of years ago. Now you guys are putting these people on TV. Why is this happening all of a sudden? It's because they want to own it. They want to control it. They want to use their resources to put that information out there in their own way. That way it looks more legitimate than somebody like me who's putting it out there in a smaller way. And that way people see that and the perception becomes, oh, well, this must be much more legitimate. Their information must be much more relevant and must be true and truer than what somebody like Josh Reeves or somebody else is putting out. Because if his information was as relevant or was true like theirs, he would be on TV. He would have millions of followers, this and the rest of it. It's an illusion. It's bullshit. It's a false perception that's been created to get you to think that way so that the little guy and people who are trying to do it right, people who are trying to have morals, and to people who are trying to not capitalize on people and use fear to do it. I've never ever used my platform or used this information to try to capitalize on people, to use fear, to scare you, to get you to buy bullshit products. Nothing. And I never will, hopefully. Unless somebody makes me an offer I can't refuse and, you know, puts millions of dollars on the table. Well, you know, we'll see. So that's the whole thing that I think a lot of people, you know, don't understand or don't get about what I do because they come, you know, because I don't say this all the time. And they come in and they're new listeners and they don't know. And most people have never done this. You don't understand what it takes to even do this. Try it. Why don't you try to start your own show? I give you a month, 2 months tops before you're done. Because you have no idea what you have, the pitfalls and the bullshit and the hurdles you have to constantly jump over and the things you have to avoid because everybody is trying to get you down their path and get you on their side with their bullshit agendas and everything else. And because I have the discernment I do, I don't. And that's how I justify my existence. I don't fucking water it down. I shoot you 100% straight all the time. I'm not trying to be a millionaire and live in a fucking, you know, gated community like Alex Jones and have a glass bottom boat and a bunch of cars. You know, Jones had fucking money bombs to get people to pay his legal fees when he had his divorce and his cussy battle with his kids. He was sitting over there with like 20-something million dollars, maybe even more than that. The guy was making $250,000 a month off sponsors in 2007, folks. I got that official numbers from the guy who used to be, he'd be his producer. What do you think he's making now? What do you think he's made since then? The guy had fucking money bombs for his legal fees and his divorce. It's ridiculous. All that I'm asking, I've ever asked, is for people to contribute so we can survive month to month. That's it. Not so I can have things for myself, and I don't even want things, you know? That's the thing is, that's why I couldn't even sell out if I wanted to. There's nothing they could offer me that I want. The only thing I even want out of life, which I'll probably never get, is I'd like to have, you know, a place that I don't have to pay rent on every month. You know, my own place, my own studio, my own thing that I own, you know? Other than that, there's nothing else. I don't want cars or fucking jewelry or watches or, you know, any of that bullshit material stuff. You know, all the things that I have in my life are tools. You know, I'm a musician, so I have, you know, music instruments, and I do all, everything I do here. I'm a one-man show. I don't have a team of people and a bunch of employees I have to pay. A bunch of bullshit. I do everything myself. All the I mean, most podcasts, even the smallest ones, have, you know, a producer or somebody that uploads all their shit and edits all the shit. No, I do all that. I do all the production. My production is top notch. Listen to my intro and all my you know, all the commercial stuff I did. And I mean, that's all me. All the stuff in the films, all the effects, all the graphics, the research, the editing, everything. I mean, I wear like 50 different hats. I have to do customer service. And I'm not bitching or complaining about it. All I'm asking is that you help us live and survive and keep going. And if we don't have $1,100 in here by tomorrow, it's going to be all over. And it's such a stupid small amount. These other guys make that every 2 minutes, selling dick pills and Jew gold and all this other bullshit and fucking bullshit, alpha brain horse shit. And I mean, it's completely ridiculous, and it shouldn't be happening. But like I said before, I don't concern myself anymore with the things that I can't change. And if there's one thing that I've learned in my life is the number one thing you can't change, and you're going up a fucking death march if you think you're going to, is you can't change people. So, I'm just done concerning myself with the people that I can't change, and I'm more concerned with, as I said before, those of you out there that actually get it. And again, I'm sorry. I apologize to those of you who do get it and do contribute. And I'm not talking to you, and you know that. And I thank each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart who does get it and does contribute. And I live for you. I truly live for you. I really do. And I want there to be more of you. And all it requires is that you contribute and you help us survive and live to fight another day every month. That's it. That's it, man. But the rest of you out there that want, you don't want to help, you don't want to contribute, you don't want to be a positive force, yet you want my energy, you want my info, you want my attention. I got no time for you anymore. And if you're not going to contribute, and you're just going to flat refuse to do it, yet you still and you're going to say you can't afford it, yet you can afford the phone, you can afford the internet that you're on, obviously. You can afford your 6-pack of beer every night. You can afford your fucking Starbucks. And you want to leave a million comments every month on my videos, act like you're my buddy, and then, when the time comes around to pay the bills, you disappear. Listen, I got no time for you anymore. I'm just not going to tolerate it. I'm just not. If you're on my team and you're on my side and you contribute and you help out, I'll give you the world, man. I'll give you, I have no problem talking to you, answering questions, doing any of that. But for the rest of you that just don't want to do anything but take and not give anything back, I got no time for you anymore. And you can call me a dickhead. You can call me an asshole. You can call me whatever you want to call me. You call me selfish. You're the one that's selfish. Because if you weren't, you'd reciprocate. But I'm just tired of putting my energy towards that, because it's just negativity, and I'm sick of the negativity, and I want to focus on the positive. And I've got too much work to do and all this stuff, and getting the info out to let those people. So I'm, there will be change. There are going to be changes coming in the new year. I'll tell you right now, there's going to be changes coming, and we're going to be doing some different things here that will hopefully eliminate some of that. And I'm certainly not going to just be throwing everything out there for free anymore, because it's not fair to the people who actually support my work. If it means I have less listeners, so be it. Because that'll correct itself too. The people who really want this info and who really know what I'm trying to do here and believe in the mission that I have and have taken on, and not only what I've done and what I'm going to do and what I've got coming, which is absolutely mind-blowing with all the films I've got in the works. It's not fair to them for them to contribute and them to do what they do to help us survive, and then everybody else just gets to do nothing and get the same benefit. I'm not going to do that anymore. Changes are coming. I'm telling you right now, they're coming. They're in the works. Once we get into the new year, changes are coming. And a lot of people out there who do support me, they're happy about that. Very happy about that. So, but we've got to make it till then. 11 people, guys, minimum. I mean, that's not even going to put us at 100%. That's just going to be able to keep us from going under tomorrow. 11 people, $100 each, one person at $1,100, one person at $500, one person at $600, whatever. That's what we've got to have. Not what we hope to have, what we have to have. So the line in the sand has been drawn, and it's time to see the people who are really with me and the people who aren't with me. But all I can say to those people who aren't with me and who continue to do what they do and not support my work, change is coming. It's coming. It's in the works. It's not here yet. It's going to take some time to implement, but it's coming. But like I said, we got to get there, and we got to have everybody step up right now so we can make it that far, folks. Or we're going under tomorrow, and I don't want to do it. I put my whole life into this just for it to all go under because people want to be selfish. It doesn't make any sense. All right, I'm going to get into what few news stories I got to get into tonight. Twitter boss Jack Dorsey says he's going to live in Africa. Oh, that's another one of Joe Rogan's buddies. So what's going down if Jack Dorsey's going to live in Africa? That's what I want to know. You know, you guys have started all this shit. You started all this political bullshit with your platform. Now you're jumping ship and going to live in Africa. It's just something's coming down the pike that we don't know about yet. It's just like when you started, like I told you, when I was talking about Joe Rogan and Joey Diaz and all those guys, do those shows. You know, all of a sudden, for a while, they've kind of gone back to it for a while earlier this year, like almost like it was a script. All of a sudden, they quit smoking pot on their shows. They quit doing live shows. They all used to do the shows live, and they all quit doing them live anymore. And that's what I said. They know something's coming down the pike we don't know. And Joe, of course, has had on Jack Dorsey, and he got outed. The Cash App is one of his sponsors. You know, he's in bed with these people. And he thinks everybody doesn't notice it. Twitter chief executive Jack Dorsey has capped a whirlwind tour of Africa by pledging to move to the continent for several months in 2020. Dorsey said in a message on the social media platform that he didn't know where he would be living, but he planned to spend up to half of next year in Africa. Sad to be leaving the continent for now, Dorsey tweeted on Wednesday. Africa will define the future, especially the Bitcoin one. Not sure where yet. Yeah, it's a pump and dump, that pump and dump Ponzi scheme with the Cash App and all that bullshit. Yeah, that's what it is. And you know how much fraud comes out of Africa and Nigeria and all that shit. So that's what he's doing. He's moving to Africa to run his pump and dump scheme. And he's going to continue to use people like Joe Rogan and others to get people to buy into it. I'm just so sick of this, man. I'm so sick of these people making billions of dollars off being frauds and liars. And I've never wanted anything but to tell the truth, to find the truth, not only for myself, but to share it with everybody else. That was the original goal of why I started the show in the first place. You know, I was on my own personal quest for truth long before I ever started the show. But how selfish is that? What good is that? You know, what good is it if you're not going to share it with somebody and share it with the world and try to get it out there to people and hopefully enable other people who are on their own personal quest for truth to gain from your insight in their own, their own quest. Russia cements role as gas kingpin with 3 new pipelines. Yep, here's another thing I've been telling you for years, and people have said I was wrong about. Russian president, I'm so goddamn sick of this shit. I'm sick to death of being, that's another thing that I haven't talked about. I'm sick to death of being punished for being right. I swear to God, dude, this has happened from the beginning of this show, and every time I put out a film, I'm not kidding. Every time I make a big discovery, like coming out with the CMP stuff, coming out with the first film about the CMP, making 2 films on it, being the first person to come out with the Rockwall stuff, the first film ever made on the Rockwall, all the stuff I came out with the Lost Secrets films. You know, I've done nothing but work day and night on this stuff. Just in the 12 years I've been on air, I've worked day and night. No breaks, no vacations, no holidays, no paycheck at the end of the week, no security, nothing. And every time I make a big discovery and make a big leap in information, and you should think that would be the next thing that would cause me to get much more followers, every single time it's like I get punished for it. And I thank those listeners out there who've talked to me about this, who've been with me for a while, who've noticed this too. And I thank you for mentioning that and people bringing that up to me, because a lot of people have. It's insane. It's pure insanity. I'm not kidding you. It's every time I make a big discovery or come up with a new piece of info, it's like I get punished for it. I start getting less support instead of more. I don't know what that is. I could guess. I could say it's because it's jealousy or it's, whatever else. I don't know, but it makes no sense. More than likely, it's probably because they're putting the fucking clamps down harder on people's ability to find my work every time I come out with a new find like that. That's realistically probably the most logical explanation. But, what am I supposed to think? You can't blame me for thinking it's, jealousy or whatever else it might be. But it's happened continuously, because every time that's why I've gotten to the point where once I get done with the movies that I've got an agenda to make, I'm not going to make anymore. Because every time I put blood, sweat, and tears, thousands of man hours, thousands of dollars into making these films, I put them out, and then it's like I'm punished. Russian President Vladimir Putin and Chinese leader Xi Jinping launched Monday a gas pipeline, the first 3 ambitious projects. Russia wants to rule the world with fucking, and they want to control everybody's fucking energy. That's why Trump is selling off all the fucking Alaskan oil. It's all going to go to Russia. It's all horseshit. Yeah, people still running around thinking fucking Russia is our friend and they're not an enemy, and both sides, left and right in the political spectrum, aren't in bed with Russia and controlled by Russia. You keep on going thinking that because that's what the fucking media told you. Now, this is fucking hilarious right here. Boy, oh boy. And we still, speaking of dummies, that's what this article is about. It's about dummies. Not those kind of dummies, like crash test dummies. That's what we're talking about here. Not dumbasses. Don't get it twisted. But speaking of dumbasses, speaking of those kind of dummies, we still got dummies that think we went to the fucking moon 6 times and back. Unfucking believable. Well, let me ask you this. If you believe that we went to the moon 6 times and back, then riddle me this, Batman. Why on God's green fucking acres would we be sending dummies in a craft around the moon to measure radiation before we send astronauts there? Wait a minute. You told us that we went to the moon 6 times. We sent people there and sent them back, and then we sent them with, analog film cameras that somehow didn't get exposed from the radiation. NASA set to fly Phantom dummies around the moon in 2020 to measure radiation from the sun and space prior to the Artemis mission. I mean, if this isn't yet another clue that we never went there in the first place, I don't know what is. NASA is set to fly Phantom women dummies around the moon in 2020. The testing will include a dummy strapped with a radiation shielding vest and another without protection to determine the amount of radiation emitted by the sun in space. You mean we don't know that already? What about the spacesuits that we went to the moon with originally? Well, the company that made them said there was no radiation protection in them whatsoever, and that they were not advisable to be used around radiation. I mean, this is, and yet people will still argue, "Oh, we did. You're wrong. We went to the moon. We did." Well, then, if we did, then we would already know all we need to know about what the necessary radiation protection would be for sending somebody there. We didn't go there. You can't bring film back and forth through the Van Allen radiation belts, but yet all those dummies out there will just continue to think because that's what the TV told them, that's what their teachers told them, and they wouldn't be lied to. And if it was the truth, they'd be hearing it from somebody else besides you. That's the fucking main thing. That's another thing that drives me crazy. The vest is designed to protect parts of the human body that are most sensitive to radiation, and the model traveling on Artemis 1 is made for a female body. Studies have found that they are more susceptible to radiation than their male counterparts. That makes no sense. Have you ever heard that before? Ladies, when you've gone to the dentist, has the dentist ever, and you had to get x-rays at the dentist, has the dentist ever said, oh, we got to put 3 or 4 more lead plates on you because you're more susceptible to radiation than a male? Fuck out of here. When you go to the fucking airport and you go through those radiation scanners, do they ever say, oh, well, you be careful when you go on a plane? Think about, you know how much radiation you get from going on a plane? This is bullshit. This is absolute fucking horse shit. Women are more susceptible to radiation than men? Since when? If that was the case, you would already have had, again, just like I talked to the dentist stuff, x-rays, come on. There would be 2 separate, if that was the case, there'd be 2 separate x-ray machines for men and women. Period, end of story. But there isn't. Such horse shit and such lies. God damn. Wild theories pour in as UFO hunter claims spike in sightings of snake-like objects. And the sky serpent things, those snake-like objects, those have been being seen for 15, 20 years. They've been being caught on camera. I think this, going back to like the Project Bluebeam stuff that people talked about many years ago, because they talked about, right before the stage alien invasion scenario happened, that you'd start seeing mass UFO sightings all over the world when they were starting to test out the holographic technology and stuff. I think that's what this is. Or this could be one of those those NSA spy balloons they've talked about. What's interesting that's different about these, they look very similar to ones that have been videoed and spotted for years, but some of the ones that have been spotted years ago would break up into individual orbs and balls and then form back into the longer serpent. I think this is some sort of, I don't think this is extraterrestrials. I don't even think, it very well could, more than likely, the most likely explanation for these are some sort of secret spy things that they're, because they figured that out a long time ago. That's why a lot of the planes that were classified 20, 30 years ago, top secret, once they got declassified, stuff like the stealth fighters and all that, and the X-37B and all these different things, and they look like the TR-3B Astra, which is remember for years people were talking about seeing the triangle UFOs, and it turned out to be the TR-37B Astra, which is actually a top secret aircraft. They figured that out a long time ago. That's not to say that I don't believe there are some real UFOs that are sighted that aren't, government projects and stuff like that. That's the problem, is you get people that believe all UFOs are just government-made craft, and that's throwing the baby out with the bathwater, too. That's not true. Some of them definitely are, though, but that was the whole thing. They figured out, okay, if we can make these crafts that look like UFOs, we can get these into areas to get intel and stuff and use them for secret projects, and then when people see them, they just report them as UFOs, and then nobody believes them because all you have to do is say UFOs aren't real, and if you believe UFOs are real and aliens are real, you're a kook. And then about 9-10 years ago, they started changing that around, and they slowly started to acclimate people and trying to convince people that UFOs, they spent decades convincing us that extraterrestrials weren't real. They were flights of fancy and science fiction. You were a kook and a crazy and a weirdo if you believed in UFOs and aliens and everything else. And over the past 10 years, they've had a concerted effort to try and turn that around and convince people with shows like Ancient Aliens and others that UFOs are real. Aliens are real, and in fact, they were probably here in the past. and the rest of it, this is all a part of the agenda. Because the agenda for years was in keeping it a secret. That's why they called everybody kooks and crazy and everything else and use these back-engineered planes, use them as spy planes. I tend to think that what's being seen now with these snake-like objects are either some sort of test of holographic technology or some sort of test of what they're going to use when they roll out the staged alien invasion scenario. Over the last month, an elongated, unidentified object, which reminded some of a cigarette or a snake, has been spotted in several U.S. states, from California to Wyoming and even Scotland. However, there is still no explanation of what it was or where it came from. Numerous sightings of snake-shaped objects hovering in several places in the U.S., from Wyoming to Texas. Nothing takes a cake more than the person that told me that they saw something in the sky that looked like a flying nutsack. The flying nutsack still takes the case. If you see the flying nutsack, please send us pictures and videos of that. I want to see that motherfucker. The flying nutsack. That's fucking great. You can just imagine looking up and seeing something that looked like a fucking scrote with hair and dangling just flying to the sky. Have prompted conspiracy theories about the government secretly spying on people. The Daily Star reports, oh, that's a fucking reputable newspaper. The claims were fueled by reports about one of them hovering over Dallas, Texas. Well, there you go. I didn't see that shit. According to the outlet, images of the craft, which the witness on the Mutual UFO Network, MUFON, described as a black pipe with a dull metal color, have now emerged. Although they were initially taken in September. Well, they saw it here. Yeah, that's probably... Listen. Listen. This is Millplex hell around here. I mean, you want to talk about... I live in the fucking... Jones always puts that shit in his fucking intro. Deep behind enemy lines. Bullshit, motherfucker. You're in Austin. You're deep behind fucking commie liberal lines down there. You're deep behind fucking Rick Perry's nutsack is what you're behind. That's the only lines you're behind. And those lines you be snorting off your fucking $1 million desk you got. That's the only enemy lines that Jones is deep behind. The ones that he snorts up his fucking honker. Dude, I'm down here in fucking Dallas, motherfucker. Raytheon, Halliburton, you fucking name it. L3, which is a division of British Aerospace. I mean, you fucking name it. I'm down here on the 33rd degree. You want to talk about behind enemy lines? I'm behind enemy lines, motherfucker, down here on the 33rd degree parallel with all the military industrial complex companies. And believe me, listen. And you know why that is? I've told you that story a million times. It has to do with the back engineered shit that they got from the crash at Roswell. Because they brought it here to Dallas. They brought it to Fort Worth at the old Carswell Air Force Base, which by the way, now is not an Air Force base anymore. It's a FEMA camp. That's where they brought initially all the recovered stuff that they recovered from the Roswell crash was brought to Carswell Air Force Base before it was sent off to Wright-Patterson in Ohio. And this is why just shortly after that, this is how Texas Instruments became the big company that it is here in Dallas. That's another one I forgot to mention with all the other ones. That's why the silicon transistor got invented here, because it got invented here in Dallas from the back engineered tech that they took from. I'm telling you, man, that's all this stuff is. There's a reason. I've tried to explain this in my films, in the Lost Secrets films, and in the Secret Ride films. All the information's there. I've been talking about this for years. It's no secret why we're on the 33rd degree parallel here. There's all the big military industrial complex companies here. The silicon transistor was invented here. The Roswell craft stuff was brought to Fort Worth in 47 after it. Kennedy was assassinated here. The rock walls here, all that stuff, all the ancient tunnels under Dallas, all this stuff is for a reason. And I believe that's why I incarnated on this rock, on this spot that I did, and because I was put here for a reason to expose this stuff. And that's why you need to understand this is bigger than me. It's bigger than you. It's bigger than your wallet. It's bigger than your wants and your hopes and your dreams and your children. And I'm sitting here trying to fight a fight nobody else wants to fight, man. And I'm sick of getting nothing but stick for it. When all I've ever wanted to do is the right thing and to fucking bring something and leave something behind on this planet that wasn't there when I got here. There's no fucking, all this is not And Jones was from here too. He plays into this too. None of this stuff is coincidence. None of this stuff. There's a much bigger hand at work here that's bigger than all of us that I don't think any of us are ever going to really be able to explain. But what do? What are you going to do? You got to take whatever lot in life you're given. And this is what I was given, so I'm going with it. The outlet reports at least 2 people have independently said they spotted the strange object that day. They had seen the object. Well, listen, I don't necessarily trust MUFON. I met some of those people a couple of years ago at an event I went to, and they seemed pretty damn spooky to me. They had also seen the object and shared the exact same testimony. That definitely adds some validity to the sighting. I don't think right now anyone is lying. With no feasible explanation available, researchers have suggested their own theories, saying it could be something top secret military, but added we will hardly be able to find it exactly if that's the case, if something we don't have right. But if it's top secret military, then what's the purpose of it? The only real purpose it could be, and listen, L3 is out here. It's about 40 miles north of Dallas. It used to be E-Systems. And if you look up, listen, that's where they developed HARP at originally. HARP was originally developed for Arco Oil with E-Systems in the 1980s, and it was developed out in Greenville, Texas, where they had that shooting not too long ago. And I've known lots of friends and family members and stuff that have worked out there. And, you've got to have high-level security clearances to work in certain places of that place. And in fact, one person told me that worked out there told me that at L3 in Greenville, that they saw things there when they worked there that, quote, were not necessarily human. That's what I've been told. And that's what they do. They develop reconnaissance and spying stuff out there, and then they install it on the big planes. They've done installations on Air Force One out there, on all the doomsday planes. That's what they do. They outfit them with all this tech. So if I had to guess, that's what I would say those snake things are. I think there's some sort of monitoring balloons that then they just get away with being able to fly them around openly, spying on people. And then if people see them, they just say they're UFOs, and people just say you're crazy, and they write it off. And yet they still get to fly them around and everything else. The U.S. military is talking about tinkering with soldiers' brains to let them control drones, weapons, and other machines with their minds. A new study conducted by the DoD Biotechnologies for Health and Human Performances Council and released by the Army's Combat Capabilities Development Commands argues cyborg soldiers will be a possibility by 2050. Oh, God. Again, some days it's like this. Some days it's like Bill Hicks said, some days you just got to put on a fake fucking smile and plow through this shit one more time. Jesus fucking Teddy fucking Christ. If they're saying this shit's coming in 50 years or 30 years, it means they already got it. It means it's already been here for 10 years. I've been hearing about this shit for a long time. Super soldiers and all that stuff, that's been here for a long time. Why do you think the fucking X-Files were putting that shit out 20 years ago? Because it's been here that long. Super soldiers and all that stuff have been here for a long time. Listen, I've talked to people who served over in Iraq and Afghanistan, and they've told me about there being people in their battalions and stuff that are, they wouldn't say anything more than they were enhanced humans. Again, just like I said on the previous show, when they start admitting to this stuff or say it's coming, it's just like I told you with the black budget stuff. That's what it is. It's because there's only so much room on the black budgets for things. And once they run out of room on the black budgets, they have to start outing that stuff and make it public projects so they can get taxpayer funding and stuff behind it. So they have room on the dockets for the other black technologies and more secret stuff they're coming up with that you're not going to hear about for 20 or 30 more years. And so they slowly start rolling out and then acting like it's new, when in reality, they've had it in the black budgets for 20 or 30 years. Imagine a future where soldiers can control swarms of drones on the battlefield with their minds through advancements in bioengineering and other fields that allow for a direct brain-to-machine connection. The U.S. military believes this could be possible within the next 30 years. Shit. Fuck off. Just fuck off. Possible within the next 30 years means it's going to be fully operational within the next 10, maybe 5. The military expects the emergence of so-called cyborg soldiers. Again, the X-Files were talking about this in the 90s for a reason, because they already had them then. They like to fictionalize the truth, so the truth seems like fiction. That way, if anybody hears that it's actually happening, and soldiers that come back from fighting over in wars tell their family members about it, they can just easily say, oh, you saw that on the X-Files. Oh, that's sci-fi, when in reality, it's a real thing. But yet, because they create this phony sci-fi version, then people won't believe them if they actually do see it. That's the thing. So, I just get sick of how arrogant these people are and how fucking stupid they assume all of us are. And it's going to be their undoing eventually. It will be. That's what's, I've said it for years. I'll say it again. Their arrogance eventually is what's going to bring them down. Because they're going to do something so out in the open, so big and so in your face. And their arrogance and hubris is going to lead them to believe that we're all still as stupid as we were before 9/11, and it's going to blow up in their face. There's going to be a mass awakening, and these and these people are going to be seriously fucked to the point where there's going to be no return. And that's probably when they'll launch the nukes. I mean, I hate to be a Debbie Downer, man, but that's the truth. You know, I'm on the search for truth and trying to wake people up and expose this stuff too. But I also realize to a certain level and a certain degree that if there ever is an event that causes a mass awakening, I'm not talking about just something like now where you have, you know, a small section of the population. I'm talking about 100% mass awakening across the board, across 100% of the population. As soon as that happens, that's when they launch the nukes. That's what's going to happen, folks. That's when you're going to see nuclear war, and that's when you're going to see them, is because they are not going to live in a world where they can't get away with the secrecy they've gotten away with up to this point. They're just not going to do it. They'd rather kill the entire planet and kill everybody on it and go launch their off-world colonies and live and start new colonies somewhere else than to not be able to get away with the status quo they've had up until now, where they can perpetuate this system into the future. And that's what it's all been about since the early days when, humans were starting to put in positions of kingship and power because of their bloodlines. That's been all it's been designed, is to keep this whole thing perpetuating into the future uninterrupted. So careful what you wish for, because it's not something that's been lost on me, I'll tell you that. I mean, yeah, we all want a mass awakening to happen, but you have to understand that as soon as it does, we're done. But, strangely, I'm okay with that. As fucked up as it sounds. Because their hubris and their arrogance will be their undoing, and they won't be able to kill us all. That's a fact. You can't kill the truth. The military expects the emergence of so-called cyborg soldiers by at least the middle of this century, with the help of various emerging technology, including neural implants that could permit direct interaction and data transfer between man and machine. I mean, I've had that for a long time already. It's not as advanced as what they're talking about here, but yeah, they've already had that. The U.S. military believes that by 2050, it will be possible to technologically redesign human beings to give warfighters an edge in battle. Now, here's the thing that gets me about this. This is how you know we're fucked. The fact that they're even saying, and this is how you know all wars are by design and they're all fake and they're all created by the bankers and everything else. And they're really just designed as depopulation programs. They're not designed for anything else. War is completely retarded. There's no reason why we should be in any wars anymore on this planet unless we're fighting some outside force. And as I've told you a million times, they're going to fake that too anyway. So, but just the idea that they're saying, the U.S. military believes by 2050 it will be possible to technologically redesign beings to give warfighters an edge in battle. Now, just the fact that they're already stating that warfare and battle will still be a thing in the year 2050 tells you how fucked we are. Because if we're really moving towards peace and really moving towards a brotherhood of man, we wouldn't be looking at what technological advances we can have in warfare and soldiers 50 years from now, 30 years from now. we'd be looking at how we're not going to need this technology 20 or 30 years from now. But again, all this is not being developed to have war with enemies from within. They're getting ready for enemies from out there somewhere, whether they're real or created. And there just shouldn't be any need for us to be planning warfare technology for the next 50 years when we should be discussing how we're not going to need this technology. It's fucked, man. It just goes to show you a state of perpetual war is what they want, and that's what they're going to keep us in until they, be able to get themselves off planet and yada, yada, yada. All right, folks, that's all I got. I don't want this to be the last show I ever do, and I don't want this to be the end of all the hard work and dedication I put into this for all these years, but it's up to you. The ball's in your court. If we don't get 11 people, we don't get $1,100 minimum in here by tomorrow, we're done. There's going to be nothing I can do to stop it. And I don't want that to happen because I put my whole life and dedicated my life to this, and I don't want to be out on the streets on my ass. But I need those of you who are the true soldiers of truth and who truly stand on my side and know what I'm trying to do here to step up and help us save our ship before it sinks. And I just truly love and appreciate all of those of you who truly love and support me from the bottom of my heart. Hopefully, we'll see you back here tomorrow night. Take care. Folks, this is Josh Reeves, and I'm here to tell you about a fantastic website, fixyourgut.com. Fixyourgut.com can help you take control of your overall health. Are you sick and tired of suffering from indigestion, acid reflux, bloating, or abdominal pain? Do you run to the bathroom either all the time or hardly ever at all? Do you forget things often or have trouble concentrating? Are you depressed or anxious? Do you have IBD or SIBO? Digestive disorders are increasing in frequency because of our toxic-laden, fast-paced world. There are billions of microorganisms that live in your intestinal tract that have more to say about your health than almost anything else. Learn how to make sure your gut has more of the right organisms to improve your health and enhance your life. FixYourGut.com has over 200 free blog articles, and it's one of the most valuable resources on the planet to improve your overall health and well-being. Search either Fix Your Gut or We've Read the Documents on YouTube for the latest health and conspiracy information as well. You can also purchase John Brisson's book, Fix Your Gut, or get personal one-on-one health coaching to help get you back to living your life happy and healthy. Visit FixYourGut.com, the ultimate source for all things digestive health.